How are you guys this afternoon?
Good.
Perfect. I guess we're going to just do a little slideshow. A lot of it you can read for yourself, but I'll point out what I think is significant, and I don't need to read it to you. You can all read. So I think it's pretty cool that we're in the top 2% of co-ops nationally for kilowatt hours sold. That's a pretty big deal, I think. I think we can be proud of our co-op. Let's go to energy sales to members. You can see in 2008 we kind of peaked out, and it's been a decline ever since until 2014, and we actually had about a 0.5% increase. I don't know if we'll continue with increases or not, but we did have a slight increase in 2014. In 2014, Powder River Energy changed auditors, and we had some unbilled revenues that we had sold the power, but we hadn't billed for it, and they said that that wasn't the right way to do things. So to catch up, we billed for them on the books, and that resulted in a $6.9 million difference in revenues that we didn't actually collect them, but we booked them. Hopefully that makes sense. Because I'll need that, you need to go into the next slide with that information, and you'll see the residential, seasonal, coal mines, blah, 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 down to unbilled revenues of 6.9 million. That's where that came from. The other revenue is some interest income and money that we make on some transmission lines, and then we took some money out of our deferred revenue to make up our total revenue package of $192.7 million. In our revenue deferral account, starting in 2009 and through 2012, we had made some extra money, so we put it into deferred revenues, and then in 13, we had to use $4.5 million of it to balance the budget. And with the deferral in 2014, we have restored it to $7,220,000, and it will help maintain stable rates for us going forward. Now we'll get into the summary of operations. Go to that slide, would you please? There, thank you. You can see that we ran a pretty skinny bottom line there, $36,000. That's pretty thin, but with our interest and other income and capital credit allowances from Basin Electric, we're still real healthy. In 2014, we retired $2.3 million worth of capital credits, and as you can see, we've retired $63 million over the history of our co-op, which I think is outstanding. Some other benefits that your co-op gives to the membership is $27,000 in scholarships, $23,000 in junior livestock sales. We have the Home Efficiency Loan Program, which provides interest-free loans for energy efficiency and conservation improvements. And you can also get some help with your solar-powered water pumping project if you want to. We started the foundation several years ago, and in 2014 they donated $43,200, and since its inception in 2007 they've given $214,000, and we have 1,020 members enrolled in Operation Roundup. And if you're not enrolled, catch up with me later and we'll get you signed up. It's real easy. So PRECorp continues to strive to deliver high-quality, competitively priced electric power and services to you while enhancing the quality of life by providing leadership and service in our communities. Thank you.
Well, now you get to hear the President's report, and I've been asked by several people to keep it short, and that's just what we're going to do, because I think that Mike is going to have a little bit longer presentation, and then I'm sure you guys will really enjoy his speech. So if you can look up there on the big screen, there was a guy that showed me this picture the other day, and I won't mention his name, but his initials are Reuben Rittaller. Anyway, he used to have a windmill at this solar well site, and he thought it was very interesting. You see all the power lines behind there? You've got a 230 line, you've got a 69 line, and Reuben thought, I'll just hook up a drop cord on that 69. It won't burn my pump up quite as quick. So that didn't work very well, so then he relied on the sun, so he's got a solar-powered well there now. And I think it's working real well. But one of the things that you'll notice as you drive around the country, you see a lot of power lines. And ever since I've been on this board, I look at a lot of power lines. And they all lead to Washington, D.C., just sure as heck. And, you know, that sometimes it's helpful, but a lot of times it isn't. It's clumsy at times. But I want to share with you something that happened to me today. I had the honor of seeing an old friend of mine. He and I go back ever since we were this tall. He's a little taller than that now, but anyway, one time he was doing some work with his backhoe out in our country, and my wife Lana and I had been married about, I don't know, a year or two, I suppose. And when I saw this gentleman, I invited him by for lunch. So anyway, he comes by for lunch, and anyway, he's out there wiping the grease off his hands with his can of Gojo, you know, that he carry around in your pickup. And he got his hands all cleaned up and came in for lunch, and he's sitting there squirming around while he's eating dinner, and pretty soon he asked if he could use the bathroom, and we said yeah, and then he came out with just his underwear on, and anyway, his legs aren't near as long as mine are, and so he asked my wife if he could borrow some of her pants, and anyway, if Bill Dewey, could you stand up? Anyway, he's the only guy that I know of that got into my wife's pants. Oh, you're welcome, Bill. But Bill and I's childhood history, it was filled with a lot of fun. And I did notice today that he's still chewing tobacco, and I quit it about 30 years ago, Bill, so I'm ahead of you in that deal. But anyway, Bill told me today, he said his folks used to they never missed an annual meeting of Tri-County Electric. And I'm happy to say that Bill and his wife Carol showed up today to their first annual meeting. And so anyway, I hope to see you again here, Bill and Carol, and thank you guys for coming. Mike is going to share with you a whole bunch of stuff that's going on around our co-op, and the one thing that we aren't going to lose sight of is how important the residential members are to this co-op. You guys are the ones that started it, and we're here for you. And if you guys have any problems or questions, feel free to call Mike or somebody else that knows what's going on. Don't worry about calling the directors, but we do keep in tune with things that are going on, and there are a lot of decisions that are made around this board and your co-op. And the board tries as hard as they can not to micromanage anything that's going on. And there are board decisions and there are management decisions, and we're all a part of it. But anyway, I want to thank you guys again for coming to the 70th annual meeting of Powder River Energy. So anyway, thanks everybody. Now, first of all, we're going to hear something from Les Penning, our Chief Operating Officer and Deputy General Manager. Les?